What are the three things companies overlook when hiring? So that's what we're going to discuss today. Hey everyone, welcome to the Noble Podcast. I'm Jason Noble, the running recruiter. I'm here to share no BS talk about what really matters in talent acquisition in your career. So without further ado, let's get right to it. So these are the blind spots that cost companies big. I want to talk about what these are, why they're a problem, and then how to fix them. So ready? Let's dive in. Let's start with reference checks. Most companies treat this as a checkbox exercise. I think because people usually give good references, right? Like typically you ask a reference from people who they work for and have a good relationship. So everyone assumes it's just going to be good. Why would anyone in the right mind give a bad reference, right? Typically what happens is HR calls a couple of names, confirms employment dates, and moves on. But here's the problem. That tells you almost nothing about how this person actually performs under pressure, how she collaborates, or whether he's a cultural fit. So think about it. Would you buy a car after only checking the color and mileage? Of course you wouldn't. So you'd want to know how the car handles on the road, whether it's been in an accident, if the engine's solid. So the same thing goes with people. If you skip a deep reference check, you're gambling with your team's performance and your company's reputation. And here's the scary part I don't think a lot of people think about. A bad hire doesn't just cost you salary. There's all sorts of studies out there with different numbers, but I think it's fair to say hiring the wrong person can cost roughly 30% of first year earnings. So if you hired someone for $150,000, easily it's going to cost you $50,000 when you factor in lost salary, benefits, and wasted time. And that's just the financial hit. When you add in things like lost productivity, damaged morale, and the ripple effect, it gets really, really expensive. A deep reference check would have revealed it. So the question is, how do you suss out the real person? My approach is to ask deep behavioral questions about past performance. So what I'm trying to do is dig into specific examples and look for patterns that helps uncover stuff that doesn't show up on a resume, like how they handle conflict or whether they're a team player. So just to wrap this segment up, if your reference check process is just dates and titles, you're flying blind, and blind hiring leads to expensive, painful mistakes. Next up is counteroffers. And here's a common error with counteroffers. Businesses think that once the candidate signs, it's a done deal, and that's wrong. The moment your candidate resigns, their current employer can swoop in with a counteroffer. They can offer more money, promotion, or promise that things will change. And guess what? Some candidates accept. Well, why? Because change is scary, or they get what they're looking for. And when someone waves a bigger paycheck and says, we're going to fix everything, it's very tempting. Here's what happens if you don't manage this. You're going to lose the candidate, you're going to lose weeks or months of recruiting effort, and your team stays understaffed. That delay is going to cost your business revenue, it could stall projects, and it could burn out your existing employees. And I'm thinking that's not what you want, which is why actively managing counteroffers is critical, especially for key roles. I get that businesses may not have the time and resources to do this, so consider working with a professional recruiter. Why? Well, because a professional recruiter doesn't just hand off the offer and walk away. We stay engaged, we help manage expectations, and we keep the candidate committed through his or her start date. That's the difference between filling a role and actually securing the right talent. If you're not managing this part of the process, you're leaving the door wide open for disappointment and a very expensive do-over. So finally, let's talk social media. Too many companies ignore this step, and it can really come back to bite you. Why? Well, a candidate's online presence can reveal a lot. Think about how much you post, like, or comment. I'm willing to bet you're not 100% comfortable with some of that stuff. So what I'm getting at is social media content can speak to someone's professionalism, judgment, and even one's values. If you hire someone whose posts clash with your brand or culture, you're inviting trouble. So imagine this for a moment. You hire someone for a client-facing role, and 2 weeks later, an old post surfaces that is perhaps offensive or controversial to your client. And then your client notices it. And then she decides not to work with you. What are you going to do? Well, suddenly there's a problem because a background check wasn't done. That's not just embarrassing. It can cost you clients, it can damage your reputation, and even lead to legal headaches. It can also lead to your corporate culture being destroyed. Now imagine if your employees got in fights or refused to work together because of content one posted on social media and the other didn't like. A very quick ethical review can save you from a nightmare or a toxic culture fit. In today's world, what someone posts online matters. Ignore it and you're gambling with your brand. So the question becomes, how do you do that? Well, there are some services that can help. They're not foolproof, but it's a starting point. There's also a need to dig deep with the candidate. Ask them some questions during the interview process. The other thing I strongly recommend, if you haven't already done it, I think it's pretty standard in agreements these days, is work with a lawyer to beef up your employment agreements. Include some wording around offensive posts being a cause for dismissal. So let's wrap up today's podcast. The takeaway is that hiring isn't just about resumes and interviews. It is about digging deeper through references, managing the process end to end, and doing your due diligence on social media. If you're serious about building a strong team, don't leave these steps to chance. If you don't have the time to do it yourself, then please partner with a recruiting professional who knows how to navigate the hidden pitfalls. Speaking of which, if you need recruiting help, let's connect. I've got over 30 years of experience and can help you recruit the right talent and avoid these issues. Links to connect with me are in the episode notes below. So what did we learn today? Basically, don't take shortcuts when hiring. If you found this helpful, please share it with your network and subscribe for more No Bull on hiring. Thanks, everyone.